In 1162 CE, Yasuge, a minor tribal leader and likely under Jin rule, became father to a new baby, Temujin. Yasuge wasn't long for the world, and after the Tatars poisoned him, he died in 1171. In the aftermath, Temujin's family had their supporters abandon them, they're sent away, and they live a difficult, mostly subsistence lifeway. Temujin started to lead raids against other tribes for flocks and horses. He killed his older half-brother Bekter and was held captive for months or even years by the Tayichi'ud. After Temujin approached him offering his service, Kara-Khitan leader Togrul Khan accepted Temujin's offer to be his follower. Soon after, Temujin had his wife Borte taken from him by the Merkits, and it was only around a year later that Temujin, with Togrul Khan's aid, successfully marched on the Merkits and returned a now heavily pregnant Borte. In this campaign, Temujin had reconnected with his childhood friend Jamukha, and afterwards, upon Togrul Khan's suggestion, Temujin joined his camp with the Jamukhas to develop his capabilities in warfare. However, the two had a falling out, and after Temujin lost the battle in 1187, he fled. Temujin may have spent the following years in the Jin Empire, but in 1195 CE, Temujin was back and had significant local support. Not all Mongols were happy with Temujin, and dissatisfied Mongols elected Jamukha as their great Khan in 1201 CE. Now, Temujin and Togrul combined in a successful battle against Jamukha. Temujin defeats the Tatars in 1202 and has their male elite executed. Meanwhile, Jamukha had earlier been granted clemency by Togrul, and now Togrul and Jamukha wage war upon Temujin. While they served Temujin an initial defeat, Temujin then came back and defeated their forces. Next to fall to Temujin were the Naimon along with their allies, whom he attacked and defeated in the Battle of Chakarmout in 1204. With the Naimon conquered, though some tribal remnants still held out, all the major tribes had been conquered, and Temujin's empire now dominated the steppe like the Xiongnu and Gurkturk empires prior. In 1206, Temujin became Chinggis Khan. He was pronounced as such by the gathered Kurultai. Soon, the remnants of a number of tribes were subdued, including the Oirat, Kyrgyz, Naimon, and Merkit. Some Naimon made their way to Kara-Khitan and formed an alliance, and some Merkit made their way further west still. Small-scale raids also picked up against the Shisha. Finally, action against the Shisha picked up in 1209 as Chinggis led an invasion there. The Shisha agreed to a treaty with themselves in the subordinate position, though it would only be time before Chinggis returned and conquered the Shisha kingdom. Before that time, Shisha contributed forces to the Mongol armies when requested, and this started with a Mongol-Shisha alliance against the Jin Empire, and from 1211 to 1215, a mass swath of the Jin Empire's north is excised. Zhangdu was set siege to and then fell in 1215. The rump Jin state that remained ruled from the new capital of Kaifeng, starting with Emperor Xuanzang. Now the story turns west. In 1218 CE, the Mongols took over the Kara-Khitan Empire, which had earlier seen its rulership usurped by a Naimon prince who'd fled there after losing to the Mongols. Still in 1218 CE, the next stage in conquest unveiled itself when the Otrar incident went down. Hundreds of members of a caravan traveling from Mongol territory into the Khwarezmian Empire are executed on suspicion of being spies. Chinggis sends diplomats to Muhammad Shah about this, and Muhammad Shah has one of the diplomats killed and sends the rest of them back with singed beards. From 1219 to 1221, Chinggis Khan and his generals do battle on Muhammad Shah's empire. Otrar is besieged and conquered, and the governor who'd seized the values of the executed caravan was now symbolically given more treasure than he could handle, with molten silver poured down his ears and throat. In 1220, Chinggis Khan besieges and conquers Bukhara. Next, Samarkand was taken. Many of the former inhabitants of Bukhara were forced to fill the ranks of wave after wave of attackers trying to breach Samarkand's defenses. When the Bukharans started to flee, Samarkand's defenders thought the enemy was on the run, and they left their city to chase and kill, but it was the waiting Mongols who did the killing. Tens of thousands of Muhammad Shah's army were killed. Muhammad Shah fled, and the garrison holed up with the survivors in the fortified inner city before surrendering days later. Despite a promise they'd be allowed to live, the garrison was slaughtered. Rape, plunder, and more killing followed. More cities were conquered, and Chinggis soon turned his attention to pursuing Muhammad Shah's eldest son, Jalal al-Din, who soon fled beyond the Hindu Kush. The man Chinggis left the task to hunting down al-Din, Dorbe Dakshin, lost track of al-Din in northern India, and he remained at large. Other Mongol forces were busy elsewhere, including the conquest and massive massacre at Merv. Elsewhere still, 1221 had Muhammad Shah, who'd been fleeing from the Mongol forces under Jebbe and Subadai, die on a tiny island in the Caspian Sea. Jebbe and Subadai caused plenty of terror of their own, and on May 31st, 1223, they resoundingly defeated the forces of the Kuman Khan and his Russian allies. After the monumental campaign wrecking much of the Khwarezmian Empire, Chinggis would die without any further major conquests. He set his eyes upon the Shisha kingdom and led his troops there for war in 1226. In a pre-war hunt, Chinggis had the misfortune of getting injured, and as the war began, his condition only worsened. Knowing his end was approaching, Chinggis convened the Kurultai. He let them know how he wanted the empire divided, with Chagatai, Toloi, and Batu serving as regional khans, all under Ogedei as Great Khan. Chinggis Khan died in August 1227 CE.